The first time I saw him, I almost laughed. On the orbital station Haven's Reach, amid towering aliens with polished armor and glittering bioluminescent skin, he looked small, almost fragile. A human, though calling him ordinary seemed too generous. His jumpsuit was a size too big, his hair was a mess, and when he walked past the crystalline Valley warriors or the scaled Harkonnen soldiers, he seemed like a child lost in a war zone. And yet, he was their representative, humanity's envoy. I was Lyra of the Valley, a commander trained in the art of blade song, a warrior with 1,000 duels to my name. When I saw him, this human named Elias, I felt the weight of disappointment. So, this is what the humans send? I whispered to my adjutant, not caring if he overheard. A body so small it barely contains a spirit. He looked up at me then. His eyes caught mine for only a second. Instead of anger, I saw amusement, like he knew something I didn't. The summit was meant to be peaceful, a negotiation of boundaries between species whose fleets had nearly torn one another apart. But peace always dances on the edge of war. A single misstep could unravel everything. The hall was lined with guards. Every species sent their finest, hulking brutes from Zorith, elegant telepaths from Talan, and my own kin, armored and radiant. And there in the middle, Elias sat cross-legged on the floor, adjusting a small device that looked far too primitive for the advanced hall. When the Voran chieftain mocked him openly, "Does the ape bring toys to distract us?" the chamber erupted in laughter. Even I smiled, sharp and cruel. Elias only tilted his head. "It's not a toy," he said. His voice was calm, quiet, almost humble. "It's a translator. Your people's dialect has 32 tonal shifts. Thought it might help." And with that, the device activated, and for the first time, the Voran's guttural growls came through in perfect galactic standard. The chieftain froze, his pride silenced. Elias simply smiled, then returned to his seat. That should have been my first warning. Middle. Days passed and negotiations faltered. Pride clashed against pride, and my patience wore thin. Humans were still considered newcomers to the galaxy, weak, fragile, desperate to prove themselves. I wondered why they had sent Elias instead of some warrior king clad in steel. And so, in the training halls, I sought him out. He was there, of course, fiddling with a datapad, looking like he barely belonged among the weapons racks and sparring mats. I stepped close, towering above him. "Human," I said, my voice sharp as a blade. "Why are you here? You are no warrior. Your size is pitiful. Even our youngest cadets would best you." He looked up, that same infuriating calm in his eyes. "You don't think much of me." "I think you are small," I said, my voice cutting. "Unworthy of standing in halls of warriors." He chuckled, actually chuckled. "That's fair." Then he tilted his head. "But tell me, Lyra, have you ever fought someone who didn't play by your rules?" That stung, though I didn't show it. I drew my blade, its crystalline edge humming. "Face me then. Let us test your words." The duel was swift. Or rather, it should have been. I moved with blinding speed, my blade singing arcs of light. But Elias didn't fight back. He dodged, barely, almost clumsily, but just enough. Each time my strike would have landed, he shifted, stumbled, slipped out of reach. It was maddening. Finally, frustrated, I pressed him hard, forcing him against the wall. He didn't draw a weapon. He only looked at me, calm, unshaken. And then he said softly, "If I showed you my real body, Lyra, you wouldn't be so eager." I froze. Real body? Before I could demand answers, the alarms blared. The station shuddered. A fleet had dropped from hyperspace. Pirates, mercenaries, perhaps even assassins sent by factions who hated the summit. Chaos erupted. The halls turned into a battlefield. I cut down intruders with my blade, shouting commands to my warriors. Across the chaos, I caught sight of Elias. He wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. He walked straight into the firestorm. And then it happened. The air shimmered around him, like reality itself was bending. His small body flickered, as though it were just a shell. And then the shell collapsed. What stood in its place was vast. Elias's real body emerged like a titan awakening from sleep. Metallic sinew and living energy twisted together, a being easily 3 times my height, his frame built not of fragile flesh, but of something far older. Ancient human bioarmor, alive, sentient, wrapped around him like a second skin. His eyes blazed, not with amusement now, but with the fury of a storm contained too long. He moved, and the intruders fell, not just cut down, obliterated. His fists tore through armored soldiers as if they were made of paper. Energy shields rippled around him, absorbing fire that would have vaporized starships. I had mocked him for being small, but this was Elias, humanity's secret. Their envoys were not weak. They were vessels hiding weapons that could change wars. And yet, when the last of the attackers fled, Elias did not roar or gloat. He only deactivated the armor, shrinking back into his smaller form. Sweating, tired, but calm as ever. Later, in the silence of the damaged hull, I approached him. My pride was ash in my throat. I struggled to find words. Why do you hide your strength? Why pretend to be small? He smiled faintly. Because strength isn't always the point, Lyra. Sometimes, people show their true selves when they think you're no threat. And sometimes, the greatest weapon is letting them underestimate you. His words struck me deeper than any blade. Ending. The summit continued, shaken but unbroken. The factions who had mocked him now looked at Elias with a new fear and respect. Humanity, once dismissed as weak, had revealed just enough to remind the galaxy. Never judge by appearances. As for me, I could no longer look at him with scorn. I had seen his real body, his true strength, but also his restraint. He could have dominated the summit by force. Instead, he chose patience, words, and only revealed his power when lives were at stake. On the final night, I found him once more, alone on the station balcony, gazing at the stars. I mocked you, I admitted, my voice low. For your size. For what I thought was weakness. I was wrong. He looked at me, that infuriatingly calm smile still lingering. You weren't wrong. I am small. Fragile, human. But sometimes that's exactly what the galaxy needs to see first. I tilted my head, studying him under the starlight. And the real body? That titan of steel and fire. He chuckled. That's just a reminder. For those who forget that humans adapt. For the first time in my long warrior's life, I felt something I had rarely felt toward another being. Not superiority, not rivalry, respect. And perhaps something more. As the stars stretched endless above us, I realized the truth. Humanity's strength was not in the size of their bodies, nor in the weapons they wielded. It was in their ability to surprise, to endure, to carry secrets until the right moment. I had mocked him for being small, but when I saw his real body, I understood. Humans were never small. They were infinite.